Hello, Shannon. I had to redo this video. For whatever reason, the last one had a technical error. Sorry for the delay. So I was looking at your son hit. So the first thing I noticed when he was hitting is that he never gets his hands back in launch position. Launch position, it's when your foot strikes the ground. Look at Josh Johnson's elbow. Look how he pulls it back. He pulls it back. So his elbow is actually, I had to draw a line where it would be. It would be near his back foot, behind. Your son's elbow never truly gets back. You can see that this is more or less like a straight line. I do that. It's more of a straight line. Where you can see as Donaldson, he's actually pulling his elbow back. He's pulling it back. Go another swing by someone else. Because Josh Johnson has a lot of movement in his swing. Mike Trout, for example, his swing. He already kind of starts with his elbow back, but you can even see his elbow. You have to zoom in. His elbow is really far behind him. And you can see how his shoulders are turned. Whereas your son, he's completely straight. And I'll stop there. So that's the first major thing. He has to get this bat head in because it's going to cause him to have this long swing around the zone. Okay. The next one is after heel plant. Let me go a little bit further so you can get his foot down. Heel plant's here. His hands are really, really far away from his body. His first move is to go around versus around and inside his body. So let me go back out here. See the major difference? Mike Trout on the bottom, he's keeping his hands way closer to his body, and he's way more direct to the baseball. While on the top one, like I mentioned earlier, the huge space between his back shoulder and his hands is causing him to have a really long swing through the zone. Continue on. And he's almost, bat head's actually lagging behind him too much. Everyone has bat lag. If you look on Mike Trout, his bat's behind him, but it's still near his back hip. Whereas your son, when he drips his bat as far as he is, he's not even close to his body. So I'm actually minimizing his power. Let's continue forward. That's a really big thing. Because he's swinging with his hands because nothing's connected with his hips. And as you can see, after point of contact, my top swing, I'll do that. He finishes with his hands. Point of contact, he's squishing the bug. He's sitting back with his hips versus actually rotating his hips to the zone. And I think you get that really hard twist the bug motion he has right here. And after the point of contact, instead of finishing with his hips don't ever move anymore, and it's pure arms. And he actually rolls over right there. A wrist roll is when your back wrist rolls over your other hand. That's why I call it a wrist roll or a rollover. And that's where he rolls over. After contact, he rolls over immediately. Now, let's look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout's basically a phenomenon. But like I said, there's still some things you can look at about his swing. Even though he makes contact here, he actually hits through the baseball all the way. His V is actually substantially lower than other players. People who watch Mike Trout notice that. But he still at least gets to horizontal. And then he rolls his wrist over. See that? He's not rolling his wrist over here. He's just making contact. Same thing. Contact, roll over wrist immediately. He needs to learn to keep in position and drive through the baseball with his back arm. And it's not necessarily a forced motion. Mike Trout on the bottom swing, he's driving with his hips. And all he does is release his arms. He doesn't push with his arms, he just releases them. All the energy that he generated initially in the swing over here causes him, when he relaxes his hands, the bat's naturally, just because of momentum, is going to keep going forward. And by him just holding on to the bat, he will extend through it. See that? Versus on the top swing, your son's forcing his hands to get in zone. After contact, he's like, I got to finish my swing. And by doing that, it actually has the opposite effect, that he rolls over. He rolls over near his front leg. And his front knee's bent, which tells me he's not really necessarily turning his hips all the way, because anyone who really drives their hips, the front knee is always going to straighten out. Mike Trout's front knee is bent, his front knee is bent, and at the point of contact, he extends it and straightens his leg. He's really pushing off that front leg to be able to turn his hips. And then only after that, he relaxes and he runs. On your swing here, it's bent all the way through the zone, and then even after the swing, it's even more bent. Okay. Same thing, hands really forward from the body. Get used to bring your hands back and in over here. And see how far he's going away from the ball. His hands are so far away from him. And he's really trying to get that bat hit there, but he needs to bring his hands in. A good thing you could do is get a wall and put the wall, let's see, I might put it this way. It's going to be a wall or a fence or whatever you want to be. And get his bat. How long it is, and make sure it's from his belly button to the wall. Clear that, that's pretty bad. And so you basically want to get as close to the wall as possible. That's allowing him for the bat to touch simultaneously the wall and his belly button, right? And you want to teach him to be able to swing the bat through the zone without hitting the wall. The only way he can do that is by keeping his hands in, or at least that's what you want to do. So that's a simple drill you can do. The other one, like I mentioned earlier, you can put both feet horizontal facing the pitcher, and you want his feet to be facing this way. Got the bat here, and you just want him to literally turn as much as he can this way to just start his stance. Then while the ball's coming, and when he swings, he wants to be able to rotate all the way through the ball while keeping this back shoulder here and the bat close together. The thing busted, it's fine. Let's see. Same thing. He never gets quite there. Hands, even here, you can see how they're actually driving away from his body. See that? Like I said, Mike Trout. Keep those hands inside and driving through the baseball. See that? He is doing better using his hips on these swings. He's actually using them, but the hands are so far away from his body, it's going to be really hard to fix that. Let me fast forward. Okay, this is me taking a swing just to show him something. I just want to look at my swing. Fast forward through all this. This ball is really, really, really inside. It was like almost about to hit me inside. But let's just look at Mike Trout from where I am, just for same similarities. Shoulders slightly facing in before the ball comes, a little wider, hands up. And the same thing is that I'm going to get my hands back. I have more separation than Mike Trout. It's not a big deal. He's going to start landing here. His back toe's coming up. My back toe's starting to come up. And you're going to start seeing the same motion. I come in, hands driving through and down through the baseball. Hands start coming, bats behind me. Same thing. My bat is a little bit more vertical than Mike Trout. Mike Trout's bat's probably a little bit more horizontal. It's a preferential thing, but the main thing is that when you start, you want to start with that bat head there. Start it. Let's see. About right. Here's where I'm in my swing. And then same thing. You're pulling your hands in across your body. Same position. Stay behind the baseball. Point of contact. Same exact same thing. Head looking down. Point of contact. I finish through the ball. I finish more like that. And Mike Trout finishes more like this. So it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if, you're Mike Trout or Barry Bonds. Everyone has the same absolutes of hitting. There's some differences in styles, but that's what I want him to get better at. So we can work on a few more things, but that's what's really minimizing his power, and he's not using his hips. Same thing, hands way over here. Next time I see him, I'm gonna do a drill where I'm gonna put make sure that he keeps the bat against his shoulder the entirety of the swing, and we'll see how that goes. But that's quite about it for the first day. Like I said, there was a lot for him to learn, but I see a lot of good movement. He's actually using his hands. He's actually keep making contact relatively deep in the zone. But like same thing on this swing, his front knee's completely bent. We'll just tell him he's not using his hips the way I want him to, because he's not really driving off that front knee. Thank you.